Hi everybody, how you doing? I am Lady Stars and Fire. My real name is Michelle Espinosa, and this is the weekly healing messages for February 5th through the 12th. Now, if you've never watched the video before, I call it the healing messages because more or less that's exactly what I ask for. I ask for guidance and counsel that'll help move us forward in the most positive and healing ways throughout the week. And what I do is I give you a little bit of astrology, if there are any runes from a rune cast, and whatever it is that spirit might be guiding me to help us understand as we move forward throughout the week. Now, I have a little bit of information from spirit, but I'm going to get the runes out of the way first this week. And the only reason I say that is because at this time, I feel like the runes aren't giving me a true answer. I feel like they're kind of giving me this is one rune and come back later, basically for the rest of the week. So I'm just going to give you the one rune that I'm being given for this week, and that is Jera. Jera speaks to us of the natural flow from the beginning to the end of something. It is considered the harvest. It is the year, the season, the cycles, and the timing of them. It speaks to us of waiting for the proper results, for returning energies, as well as for what you have put out is what is now coming back, is what I mean by returning energies. It speaks to us of seasonal change and energy, putting it into the external, into something outside of just us, as well as into the environment itself. So at this moment, like I said, I'll probably check the runes later on this week and put out another rune cast. However, at this very moment, all I'm getting from the runes is Jera. So I'm giving you that one. Now, as I get into all the information that I'm being given from Spirit for this week, and then into the astrology, before I get into the actual events, not events, but the actual items that they're using for this week in the healing messages, I'm kind of being told that this week has a lot to do with breathing in the fire, breathing in the heat, the passion, and then breathing it in, inhaling it, and then exhaling out the potential, the ability to do it and how to go about it. Breathing in the passion, the fire, the interest, and so forth, and then moving it outwardly and starting to catapult it into actually taking form is what I'm being given. However, as we move into February, I really feel that February has a very enchanted of like just a magical enchantment over it. And that has to do with the astrology. But I feel that a lot of opportunity and ambitions are going to come out through this month. However, they are going to be traveling through the month. You won't necessarily get all of it right now during this week. This week, though, Venus is going to be moving into Pisces, the universal 12th house, and it's going to be moving in at about 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday at the end of the week. So I would say, depending on how sensitive you are, you may notice this energy of Venus moving out of Aquarius through the cusp and into Pisces, into that 12th house. And let's understand, we're moving into the 12th house. So it's gone all the way through. There's going to be some information there that's going to bring us some powerful information because it has to make it through its 12th house before it can restart in the first, Aries, the universal first house. So you're definitely going to get some of that enchantment is coming from that Pisces energy that I'm getting is coming in because we have so many signs that are getting ready to enter there, but not all this week. Now, I am being told don't underestimate Jupiter this week or your Jupiter energy, and I'm being told iron might have to do, and some people with health, maybe you might be needing some more iron in your diet for one. But I am being told the energy of iron, because I'm being given don't underestimate your Mars energy, and they are showing me the iron, as well as don't underestimate your Vista energy, which is the home, hearth, and the home and the hearth and the fire within that is you, basically. That is the hearth of the home, that comes from you and everything that is important to you. I'm being told don't underestimate those three, especially because everything is coming out of Jupiter. But here's the kicker: Jupiter in the universal sign, when we get into astrology, because I'm being shown the midheaven, the ascendant, and the descendant. And I'm being reminded that the energy that Jupiter is teaching us right now is coming from our past, from what we've known of the past, because technically Jupiter is sitting in Scorpio, and technically it is coming out of the past energy. So it's the lessons that you're going to be learning, or the information, that guidance as we move forward, is coming from learning from the past, not being psyched into thinking the same thing will happen twice, being smart enough not to create it to happen twice and make it intelligently work for you, is basically what Jupiter is going to be teaching us as we get into the astrology. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a reminder. March is a big month, and I think a lot of that magic's going to come through this month, that enchanted magic that's going to be going on in Pisces this month as we work through it. But there's going to be some lessons there, obviously, because March, first off, Jupiter will then be going retrograde. You'll also have, at the end of March, you'll have Mercury going retrograde. And like I said, before all of that, they're running through that 12th house, is what I'm getting. So before they go into their retrogrades, they're running through that 12th house to get into the Aries, your first house, when they kind of like stop, walk backwards, and reassess. And so this is a very good time for that to come forward. But if you didn't get the message it's trying to teach you now, you're going to get it in March. Okay, now, as I get into the information I'm actually getting from Spirit, I'm being also reminded, okay, because I'm being shown horns. I'm being shown horns a lot, and I'm not necessarily getting it as Taurus energy, but I feel like, don't underestimate Taurus energy. Taurus is in the universal second house, and Pallas is there. And like I said, the last 2 weeks, Pallas, the goddess Athena, has been reminding us, and in her, basically she's reminding us of the treasure that is hidden within. The treasure that is hidden within. And in that second house, it's also speaking to us of not just our small possessions like our phone, possibly your car, small possessions that you own, but it's also speaking to you of your self-worth, your self-value. It also speaks to you and somewhat of how it is you create and make your money and spend it. So this is all energy that Athena is putting into it, and the bull is there because I'm seeing the horns, and I know that it will go with that Taurus energy, but I do feel like I'm also seeing the great white stag still. In fact, I know I'm seeing the great white stag because I'm seeing two trees, really tall trees, and a great white stag is standing right in the middle of them, which speaks to us of balance as well. But I still see the horns, and that is also taking me back to the god, the ancient god known as Pan, because he's showing me himself dancing again and playing his flute, and he's reminding us, again, like I've been saying for the last couple weeks, he's going to give you exactly what you want, exactly what you're creating. If you are living in your worry, your fear, your doubt, he'll give you more of it. If you are able to bring yourself above and ascend into a higher dimension and start to realize that security and safety is not something that is of the physical, but it is of the spiritual nature, then you'll start to feel better. You'll feel better about what you're manifesting, what you're bringing to you, what you believe in. You'll bring yourself into a more positive tone, more or less. And he's saying, basically, manifest what you're wanting. Don't manifest what you don't. Make sure that you're paying attention to that. Now, I'm also being given raccoons. And raccoons speak to us of curiosity. And curiosity can be a great thing. It can make you start to pay attention in areas that you never have, really, tweak areas a little bit better. However, curiosity can also be what killed the cat, so to speak. So it depends on what you're being curious about. But it does speak to us of good luck, of exploring the unknown, and it speaks to us of taking opportunities. And when I say opportunities, because this is very much a week and a month coming into opportunities, of being able to explore them and actually bring them into life, into, the physical world, making them be created into an opportunity that will actually work for you. However, raccoons also remind us of kind of like stealing the opportunity. You've got to make sure you grab it when it's there. Plain and simple is what I'm being told by the raccoons. But I'm also really being shown, because when I see the raccoon, I'm really paying attention to his eyes, which speaks to us also of our masks. Everybody has a mask. I don't care what you say. Most of us, it's not that we're being fake, but raccoon reminds us that we have to wear different masks. And what I mean by that is raccoon reminds us, if we've gone to work, we have to be A, worker B while we're at work. We aren't playing the parenting role while we're at work. We're working. We're an employee. We're a boss. We're a whatever it is that calls for you to wear the mask that you must wear due to the situation you are dealing with. More or less, if you're a teacher, you're not the parent. You're a teacher. You know what I'm saying? It's wearing the proper mask at the right time, and why it is that we must do so is because there are speaking of different versions of ourself and our personalities, and they need to be expressed. They need to be expressed properly. They need to be looked at and viewed and brought to the proper attentions for in the proper places. Like I said, if you're a boss at work, that does not make you the boss at home. Doesn't make you the kingdom ruler at home. If you're an employee at work, you shouldn't be being, you have to leave the parenting behind and let the other parent take part. Or what I'm saying is make sure you're wearing the right mask at the right place, and understand there are different characteristics and personalities for why we wear the masks when we do. This has nothing to do with being fake people. It has to do with being responsible adults and dealing with what we have to in the situations we are in. That does not mean that we're necessarily bad people. It's just at the time we have to wear the mask for what is going on. Now, I'm also being given number 8. 8 is a great number because I've been given 8 all week, and I know that it's keep on coming right on through February. 8 speaks to us of all things infinite. Period. Infinity. Never ending. Always coming. Complete and never ending. Also, it speaks to us of abundance, of how it is we are manifesting. But remember, 8 also has this little loophole, because it's a never-ending loop, and it speaks to us of the threefold theory. It also speaks to us of karma, so it speaks to us of cause and effect when it comes into that never-ending, infinite energy of never-ending. Basically, the 8 brings that abundance of the cause and effect in karma as well. So 8's coming in all of those areas right now. I am also being told, I think it's the whole month, but I am definitely getting it for the week, but I think it's the whole month of February, that we are in the southeast direction. Or we should be in the southeast direction, because I'm getting, part of it is I'm getting, how like when it comes to summer, when it starts to warm up and we all start to feel a little bit better, a little bit sexier, a little bit more flirty. We get in that just a little bit more spring to our step energy, because it's getting into that warmer time, and it's just the passion comes with it. You feel a little bit better about yourself, a little bit better about the world. It's nicer, da-da-da. I'm getting, we need to be feeling that kind of energy right now. That's the southeast direction. And it speaks to us of fire. It speaks to us of aggression, of passion, of action. It speaks to us of the flame itself. But it also speaks to us of the east direction, which is the beginning and air. Bringing it into the air and letting it flow. The beginning of the passion and the action, and bringing them together into a manifestation that will purely catapult you into where you're trying to get. basically. However, there's always ego there. Are you doing it right? I really feel like I said, February, it's starting within this week, but I really feel like throughout this month, you're really being given the ability to tap into that magical energy, that enchanted energy, and literally pull the white rabbit out of the hat if you know how to tap into it. And that's the key here. Are you tapping into it? The southeast direction also speaks to us of the balance of understanding the past versus the future. It also speaks to us of understanding the salvation versus the conclusion. It speaks to us of the very sunrise of the beginning versus the catapult and moving it forward. And it speaks to us also of it not being necessary the purpose for your life, but how is it that we create our potential and bring it to life? This is part of that southeast energy, is that what I'm being told. And bringing it into our own destiny. How are we wishing to create our destiny and actually following through and doing it is what I'm starting to see for this week, but I'm also seeing it throughout the month. Now, as I get into this week's astrology, like I said, first off, you have Venus moving into Pisces. And shortly after, the following week, the Sun and Mercury will also be coming in the following weekend. However, this week, we're just on this week. So we have Venus. Venus is our sensitivity. She's also the charmer. She speaks to us about what it is we like, why we like it, how we can get more of it, how we can attract it and bring it to us. But she also speaks to us of what it is that we don't want to attract and how in the world we can make it stay away from us. And why is it that we feel that way? Because Venus is our senses. She's not just about love. She's also showing us why it is we feel the way we do. Our emotional touch within those senses as well. Our emotions too. So it's our depths of our sensitivity is what Venus is. And she's moving into Pisces. That's the 12th house. That's the healing house. That's where all the denials come forward. That's where all of what you haven't been able to heal through all of the other houses has to heal before that first house can start again and the new cycle can begin. Right there is also Jera, the Rune, that I was saying earlier for this week. But like I said, with Venus moving into Pisces, I feel like this is going to be a good thing because she's going to be moving in and slowly moving closer to Neptune. Neptune is where your magic can be made. It's where it can be created. But your magic can be created positively or negatively because Neptune has a twist. Neptune has a little bit of it dips into nostalgia and it can mess with you. You have to know what is the past and what is the future. You have to know what to let go of and what to hold on to. Are you creating from pure illusion that isn't possible? Are you creating something that can become possible? And that is part of Neptune's magic, knowing the difference. And we're talking to our sensitivity and the charmer who can actually bring it to life as long as you're not in delusion with yourself. So this can be a very great time as long as you're honest with yourself and you're not keeping things from yourself that you need to work through some denials on. Now, we all have that, but either way, I'm helping you see where I'm going with this. Now, I'm also being told this week, like I said, I'm seeing in what I always say when I do astrology, one of the reasons why I don't necessarily speak about astrology the way other astrologers do is because when I look at astrology, I have things move and change that don't necessarily always show up to other people. And this is how spirit also works with me when I'm doing it. And they will move things or highlight things to bring to my attention. And they're showing me, no matter how it is that you move it in your own true astrology, because we all have our own true astrology, which will then change our houses. But when I do it universally, excuse me, when I speak about it universally, I'm speaking about what it is a little bit of all of us are feeling. And then if we get into our own personal astrology, it can be way more in depth. And I do astrology readings for people. They're usually about 2 hours long whenever I do someone's personal astrology. But this is why I do the videos for those who can't afford the readings. I give you a little hint of what is up with the universal energy. And I'm being told by Spirit has a lot to do with the midhaven. The midhaven right now is really what we're getting a lot of energy from. And it's speaking about that past and the past and the future of the midhaven. And like I said, that Jupiter energy is really sending out some magnifications or some powerful energy, basically, is what I'm getting coming through that midhaven and over to the ascendant sign. And it's speaking about learning from the past. Jupiter is in Scorpio, which is in our universal 7th house. Universal 8th house, which speaks to us about what it is our relationships own. What is it our relationships personally have to deal with? Not just the relationship itself, but what is responsible for. And Scorpio is the mystery of life. Scorpio is the mystery of fertility. It speaks to us of birthing and rebirthing. So it speaks to us of the birth, the death, and the rebirth itself, the resurrection, which is what last week's energy was about. Because I had Jesus come through in that video and speak to us about that resurrection as well as the thorns. The thorns still are here a little bit this week. And I am being told, don't be psyched out by them either. This has to do with believing in yourself and knowing when to believe in yourself. Okay, best way I can put that also is like if you're somebody who would be like a singer for a band. It doesn't just take guts to get up there and belt out that music. You got to feel it in here. You got to know it in here that you can do it so that you can belt it out. Because if you're somebody who enjoys singing but you don't believe in yourself, then you can't belt it out right. Something within that gut energy makes you doubt and question yourself. Those are those negativities that would be the ego energy talking to us about questioning if we're capable of moving forward. Basically, it's talking about don't be psyched out by the thorns. But it has to do with the descendant and the ascendant coming together and having a conversation so the midhaven can bring us to what it is we truly want to do, where it is we want to be. Bring it into our social identity and our social expression and bring the ambition of it forward so the potential can actually take place with the opportunities as we move forward. Now, on the 5th, we have a double T-square. And then all week, we have a T-square with some other energies. But I'm going to give you the double T-square first. The double T-square, the one that will last all week, it's been there for a while. It is the 5th house of Leo, and it has Ceres in it, and it has the North Node in it. And it is Leo energy. This is where our creative energy is, and they are saying don't underestimate that creative energy this week. But the node speaks to us about making sure that we bring it forward so that we can move forward. If you get lazy about bringing that creating energy forward, then you're not going to actually move forward. Plain and simple is what they're saying. It is speaking to Aquarius, which is where the sun still is. This is air energy of bringing it to life, bringing it into shining for yourself in the core energy so that you could be seen and bringing that creating from yourself up and out as you move forward. And Jupiter is speaking about, Jupiter and Scorpio is speaking to us about making sure that we can bring that healing energy in and bring the abundance so that we can grow and stand strong within it as we create our energies. Because this is, again, that universal 8th house where Jupiter is, which is higher knowledge, abundance, and learning and growth. And it is speaking to us of the fertility of the ability to rebirth, to resurrect right now. But it's also speaking to us within those relationships and what it is they own, how it is we can bring that creation of what it is they own into positive ways from learning from where we haven't done so great in the past. But it also is speaking to us of the community itself, our goals, our dreams, our wishes, our friends, our teams, our groups, our memberships, and then the creative energy where we can make it happen. Now that is going to be lasting all week in positive energies. Now the double T square is only on Monday, the 5th. It is Pluto, Capricorn, the 10th house, your career energy itself, basically, but it also has to do with community because it's outward, external energies. It is speaking to our Uranus, which is our independence, our individuality, our uniqueness in Aries. And it is speaking to the moon and Haumea in Libra. And the best way for me to speak of Haumea and Libra, and this is a perfect time for this energy, for that double energy, for that power to be coming out, that positive creation to be coming out. Haumea speaks to us basically on a level of the lotus flower. Something beautiful blooms from all of the shit you went through. Basically, because the lotus flower only blooms through the murky, muddy, dirty water, but it has to first grow through that muddy, murky, dirty water, sift through all of it, and find its way to the light so that the beauty can then be seen. And the moon is there bringing the intuitiveness as well as the emotional side to our independence, our individuality, our freedom, and Pluto's death, decay, and destruction for rebirth, renewal, and change. Rebirth, renewal, and resurrection. But this means the change can start to happen, basically. Now, you also have Jupiter itself is trining Chiron. Hello, again, healing energies. That's your 12th house was where Chiron is speaking to coming to the end, seeing past the secrets, seeing past the denials, and starting to create the healing. And it's speaking directly to the 8th house, again, where the resurrection can take place within those actual relationships. Let me remind you again, relationships are not just like your family, your friends. It is, but it's also your working relationships. It's also the relationship you have with anything you care about, you have a relationship with. When you have no money, you know about your relationship with that lack of money. Okay? When you have no food, you know about your relationship with that lack of food. But it also is definitely the relationships with like our friends, our lovers, our children, our family. I mean, and within those relationships, what are they dealing with? Could deal with the home. It could deal with the bills. It could deal with taxes. It could deal with child support. What does the relationship own? And Jupiter is going to be bringing its higher knowledge and abundance to this very conversation. And Chiron is seeking out the healing that needs to be seen and created so that we can move forward in positive ways. Ceres and the North Node in Leo is also trining Mars in Sagittarius. I told you already, Mars, don't underestimate Mars this week. Mars is the passion, it is the fire, it is the aggression, it is the action. But it is taking place in the 9th house. That is where your soul fire truly is, because it's also got Vista right there. I'm being reminded of it. Vista is the soul fire of the home and the hearth itself. What is truly important to you, deep down, of yourself as well as, like I said, the home. And don't forget, this is part of your home. But it speaks to us of the 9th house, speaks to us of our higher self, of our religions, our philosophies. But it speaks to our higher self of the very knowledge and abundance that Jupiter, who runs that house, also has. That higher knowledge. Speaking to that higher self and bringing it right on back to helping us remember who we are and moving forward in the positive ways with that creative energy from Ceres and the North Node. Ceres is there to try to help nourish you, but it also is going to be speaking to you about that threefold theory, getting into cause and effect, How can you make that cause and effect work for you and nourish you in the positive ways? Also, by learning, again, I said, anytime right now Jupiter's got so much energy going on that it's still going to be reminding you of how are you doing it, because technically that Sagittarius, like I said, Jupiter helps run Sagittarius. So even behind the scenes, Jupiter is speaking to you from that descendant sign of learning from your past, because you have to let the past go so the future can move forward. But if you have to learn from where you didn't work in the past so that you can move forward. Now, we have a lot of sextiles this week. On the flip side, sextiles give us potential. They give us opportunity. They give us ambition. But if there's too many sextiles, they also make us lazy. And we start to get lack of nerve, lack of the boredom. We get too comfortable to where we're just like, it'll all be fine. Well, it won't. What I'm saying by well, it won't is if you're just lay back, it'll be fine. I'll just do it later. Sometimes later doesn't come because it'll be fine. I'll do it later. Is the energy I'm getting at. And we have a lot of sextiles going on right now. You have to stay in that action, stay in that movement, stay going forward so that you get where you want to get. Don't let that ego side keep you from being all you can be. Don't let yourself talk yourself or psych yourself out of being able to stand up to the potential that really truly is in you. Now, sextiles. Like I said, these are positive energies coming together. Uranus, and Aries. First house, ego, core energies, independence, freedom, universally speaking to us of our freedom. But independence, our individuality, our uniqueness, speaking directly to the sun, which is again your core. Mercury, Juno, and Venus in Aquarius, the community of that 11th house of Aquarius, which is where the rebel is at, which is where the balls is at, which is where the action of, you just never really thought that would necessarily happen, but that person decided to go there. Basically, the sun is there, the core is there, your shine is there right now, speaking with your conversation, speaking with your messaging system of Mercury, which also is bringing us back also to the whole, energies that is bringing us back to iron again. But Juno, which speaks to us of the sacrifice and the commitment it takes to make it happen, and Venus, before Venus moves in to Pisces, is speaking of bringing these energies forward and making us actually go through with them and creating it in positive ways. Neptune, which is in the 12th house, is speaking to Saturn and Lilith in the 10th house about how it is we create and build new foundation and walls, as well as boundaries to create the foundation as we want to, so it's a sturdy foundation. Lilith herself is you can't make me do anything I don't want to do, period, speaking to Jupiter, and Jupiter is trying to give her the abundance of how to do it, as well as the knowledge of being able to be capable and